would like to join us, help with setup. We're going to start at 4 o'clock. We should be done then probably by 7:30 with cleanup. But it's really an enjoyable time. It's a lot of fun to watch the Inspire kids dance and have fun.
We need volunteers. We need volunteers if possible for tomorrow night too. Be here at 4:30 if you can.
Yes.
My name is Bruce Anderson. After you have fun here tomorrow night, go to the Little Bear Bar for our first boogie of the season. It's Boogie at the Bear. The band is the Jerseys. They're great. They're 4-part harmony. They play music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and a good time will be had by all. This particular event is benefiting Wild Aware. Wild Aware is the organization that has all of the road signs about being careful about hitting elk, deer, and other wildlife. So come and see us. The lead band starts at 7 and will run till 10 or whenever they decide to finish. Thanks so much.
Hello, Kate Frollo and Scott White, and I'm not asking you for money this morning. We have an exchange student coming from Argentina that will be here in
August.
Okay.
So after 18 years, I'm passing the baton as a youth exchange officer. And Katie, who was a youth exchange student, has been stepping up to help out with that, but I'm going to be right there. Just a quick update on Val. Everybody met Val, Valentine from France. And she's doing fantastic. She's in her third family. She's staying with the Bazikas. And boy, it's great. And I'll just say this, and then I'm going to pass it over to Katie. We're not asking you to be a host family necessarily, but we're asking you to think about your neighbors and the folks around you that may have teenagers in the house. It's okay if you're single and you want to be a host family, that's perfectly fine. Or if you're a couple, that's great too. And we've been very successful with that in the past. It doesn't really matter what type of family you are. Nick's in a host family twice for us. Thank you, person. Twice. Thank you very much, Nick. And anyone else in the room host kids? Okay. Chris has done about 6. How many times? 3 times. All right, almost 4. And
close there. I like it. You mentioned that you could ask your neighbors stuff, but truly, if you would like to be one of the host families, we'd love to have you. Thanks.
Good morning. Scott Holliday from Jeff Koke, who spoke here a few months ago. He said that a couple people here contacted him about volunteering, and he lost their contact information. So if it was you, please let me know. I think the first meeting is coming up May 2nd for Jeff Koke, but if you were the people who contacted him, please let me know, and I'll pass it on to him. Thank you.
Guys.
So first off, that what I wasn't planning to talk about, that robotics team is fantastic. The program, what they do here, we've seen this in different schools doing it. It is amazing what they do. And when young man talked about building community, that is a big part of that, as well as leadership and teamwork and things. But they do a great job. And what many of you might not know, my wife is a retired doctor, but she is right now teaching grade school kids Lego robotics, which I never thought that would ever happen.
That's the first
what
step
she's doing, and having a blast doing it with all the grade school kids in 4 different schools here and there. But what I'm really up here is about, I have this book, and it's called Walks in the Wind by some guy named Steve Physiok. And it's a grand prize winner. It says so right here, so it has to be true. There, and it's a novel, and I'm passing it on to anybody who would like to read this. It's only been read 1 time. Only one time. So see me afterwards if you have an interest in reading this book, and I'll pass this on to you. Thank you very much.
We don't pass, we buy.
Yay, thank you.
Just kidding. Actually, Steve took some time out of his day to meet with my aunt and I about his first book. So just this last week, it was great. But I'm up here to talk about, I'm part of Jefferson County Sustainability Commission, and we have during the month of May a challenge. It's on our website, Jefferson County Sustainability Commission. And you can win prizes like Tall Grass donated a gift certificate, Mountain Home, and so forth. So it's for all of Jefferson County. If you want to get more information, just ask me. So thanks.
So the robotics kids are super excited that you guys were so receptive. So thank you. Harry, are you introducing our speaker today? Yes, I am. Good morning. I would like to welcome Karen Reinbauer. She is a pleasure. I have the pleasure of being her neighbor. She is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, and lifelong community volunteer here at Evergreen. She is grounded in, making a difference. She was raised in the Washington, D.C. area. So she holds an undergraduate degree in journalism and public relations and has a master's in management and leadership. One of the main reasons she's here to talk to us this morning is about her work with Project Minus. She's been involved with this is the 30th anniversary with more than 10 million blankets being delivered to children around the world. Her commitment to service extends beyond Project Minus. Karen is a 13-year veteran firefighter at EMT with the Rattlesnake Fire Protection District and a founding board member of Hide in Plain Sight, and a board member of Active for All, which supports Parks and Recs in the Evergreen community. Please welcome Karen.
Good to be here, and I see so many familiar faces, whether from pickleball or from social events, and yeah, and I wanted to also introduce you to my little brothers. Stand up, little brother. Look at these little brothers. He just got in last night. He's driven in from Harrisonburg, Virginia, and he and I are going to do a road trip out to California tomorrow for a family reunion. Excited about that. I became part of the Evergreen community 8 years ago when my husband and I moved up from Douglas County. We were tired of living in the suburbs, and we always found ourselves escaping to Evergreen on weekends. Like many people that took an adult time to get up here. It's been a wonderful community, and it's people like you, like Rotary, that help out with all the amazing groups and organizations and animal protections in our community. So thank you for all that you do. Jerry is one of my neighbors. He and I are in Bunko together, and so she invited me to come and speak with you. And I think she invited me because of this little guy here. His name is Linus. You may be familiar with him. He is best known for his security blanket, and that's what I'm kind of best known for. I'm the blanket lady. So back in 1995, I was kind of looking for a way to make a difference in the world. And sometimes when you look into what your own personal interests or your hobbies are, if you delve into those and figure out a way to make a positive difference, that can be a really win-win for the whole world. And so I love to knit and crochet. I cannot sit still for a second. And so even when I was at Fire Academy and EMT school, I had special arrangements with my teachers that I could sit in the back of the room and knit, because I'm a kinetic learner. If I'm in motion, I can remember everything that's being said, got A's in all the classes. And so I decided to put my knitting and crocheting skills to good use. And I got the idea when looking through Parade magazine. I saw a picture of this little girl. Her name is Laura Williams, and she was 3 years old at the time, battling cancer. And I'm like, oh, she's got a blanket next to her. I can make blankets for kids with cancer. So we had been doing fundraisers in the Parker area through Polo for the Rocky Mountain Children's Cancer Center. So I asked Dr. Aronson, who was the director at the time, if he thought his patients would appreciate blankets. And he said, I don't know, let's ask the kids. And they all loved them, whether it was babies and their families, up to the teenagers. They really appreciated a handmade blanket. So by the time I'd driven to Denver, back down to Parker, I had this whole idea that just came to me. And I know a lot of you have had these experiences in the past where it's like, you don't know where that idea is coming from, but you know it's someplace good, whether it's the universe or whatever. So I decided, you know what? I can't sit still, and I can't make blankets for 100 patients in Rocky Mountain Children's by myself. So tapping into my journalism degree, I reached out to a local newspaper and said, hey, If there's any other people that like to knit, quilt, crochet, I mean, the big thing is these are handmade. These aren't just go to Kohl's and buy a stack. This is put some love, put some prayers, put some good vibes into these blankets, and let's get them to the children. Within 2 months, we received our 100th blanket from the community, and I took off to the old Stapleton Airport, if you remember that one, and took off for California and was on a national television show. It was called the Mike and Maddie Show, and it was just kind of like one of those daytime chit chat shows. But that ended up spreading the word not only across North America, well, across North America with Canada and the United States receiving those television shows. And so I had people calling, writing, and sending blankets from Canada and the United States. And so some of the people reached out and said, could we get this started in our own community? I'm like, hey, if it works in Denver, it's got to work in Miami and San Francisco and other places too. So that's how Project Linus got started 30 years ago. It was pretty amazing, and it's still going strong. And I met somebody from Camp, whose son had received a blanket from Camp Comfort many years ago. He still has that. So we work really closely with them and lots of different organizations. A lot of people want to know what happened to little Laura Williams. Well, the happy news is she's now a 30-year-old with a family of her own. So a happy ending for that one. She's doing great. So I'm going to tell you about the Linus effect, 5 steps to more purposeful living. And I know many of you are doing this already, but we'll just kind of reinstill it. L is for live with purpose. Just being part of Rotary, you're doing purposeful work anyway. This is a Buddha quote, and for any of you that are English people, please don't worry about any of my places that have wrong punctuation. I saw it this morning, and my husband had already downloaded the program, so I apologize. Just override it. Buddha said, your purpose in life is to find your purpose and give your whole heart and soul to it. And lots of people are like, oh, that's great if you know what you want your purpose to be, but I don't know. So I had not known either, like, what is my purpose? And so here's just some examples, core values. You know, like if you decide that, I'll just use mine is make a difference. I find that if I'm not making a difference, I get bored, it's not fun, and I move on. And so once you figure out which one resonates the most for you, it's a little bit like the dating process. If you know you want a specific person, then that makes it really easy to cut out all the other fluff. You know, it just saves a lot of time and effort. So figuring out what your core values are can help with you figuring out what your purpose is and living a purposeful life. Dr. Seuss said, today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. And I think our little Blitz team that came up here showed that perfectly. I mean, every one of these gentlemen had a job. You know, somebody's the driver, somebody's the wiring guy, but if they just had that one guy that was only working on wires, they wouldn't have a robot. They need a team. And that's why when everybody in our community tries to be that one special person, we all have our own unique talents, and just play on those talents. You were born to be the you that you are. And so share that, let your light shine in our world, and it'll be a better place. Our I is for invest in others, which Rotary does. We know you guys are always helping people out in the community. Here's a date. Does this date look familiar to anyone here? What happened that day? Right, the Columbine shooting. So, you know, Project Linus, our blankets can't stop a bullet. It can't stop cancer. It can't stop other things. But what we can is help others in the community with our blankets. So every year we get together with Columbine High School still, usually on April the 20th, depending on when the weekends are. And this is just a couple of years ago. And these kids, they get the day off from school, and it's not to stay home and have more screen time or getting into trouble. They are supposed to go out and do community service work. So many of the kids come in and work on Project Linus blankets, which is really nice because we had a 3-day emergency quilting bee in their community, and the people from all over the state came out to help. We even had RVs come in from Utah filled with blankets to share with the Columbine students. So it's nice to see it continuing to pay forward. And John Wooden said, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So don't wait until that last second when an emergency is going on, just like any emergency worker, whether you're a firefighter, an EMT, a police officer, whatever it is, you need to be trained ahead of time. So don't wait until that emergency happens to be able to have the tools to assist others. And so here's another date. Does this one ring a bell for anybody? All right, that's our own Evergreen High School shooting last fall. We live on Forest Hill, right across from Cactus Jack's, and we were literally watching people run down Highway 73 trying to get to the school. And so Evergreen High School unfortunately joined the group of schools that have had to deal with school shootings. And again, we can't stop the bullets, but we were prepared and had blankets available. And we're able to get blankets with other people in the community also. It wasn't just Project Linus. Wonderful people stepped up and we got blankets to each and every one of those students. So I want to thank anyone else who participated in that, whether through Project Linus or some other method of getting the blankets to the kids, students, excuse me. Never say never. So like a lot of times people talk about bucket lists. Well, there's also some negative bucket lists, you know, like I would never do this. Well, that happened to us last fall, and my husband and I were planning a trip down to Argentina, which I understand you're about to get the student from Argentina. And we were talking with some friends who were going to travel with us, and they said, you know, like we've traveled to Thailand together, and when you travel with other people and you know that there's some things you want to do and some things they want to do, as good friends, you can say, I'll meet you at dinner. We're going to go do our thing. And so one of the things that we decided was we did not want to go down to Antarctica. We're like, we escaped in the wintertime. I know Colorado had a wonderfully warm winter this year, but we were like, yeah, Antarctica is just not something we're interested in. But when our friends said, we're going to go to Antarctica, I was like, wait a minute, that's going to be our 7th continent. So my never say never for this was, we're never going to go to Antarctica. It's just too cold, too far, but we were close enough. We're like, let's just do it. So went down. It was wonderful. Not only was it an opportunity to see the penguins, see the orcas, see the humpbacks, see the icebergs, and it's just, if you ever have thought about going, go. It's incredible. But it also has given me a lot of fodder for future writings. And those are all of my writings are meant to be positive and uplifting for people. So if you read Substack, I have a Creating Beautiful Chaos page. So that was something that was fun. So yeah, don't say I'm never going to do that, because there might be some positives into it. Undertake something bold. I grew up with this guy, William Shatner, Star Trek, loved him. I saw this on Colfax one day, this billboard. I was like, that's awesome, you know, boldly go. And I think that's something we can all put in our hearts and just think about, okay, what's outside of my comfort zone? What can I do that's a little bit different, that might be fun, that might help others? And it's just very common for me to hear, especially in the writer's world, people are like, I'm shy about, you know, like having an editor look at my work or have other people read it. It's like, be bold, just do it. You know, it's going to fit for somebody. And I love whoever said, don't share, yes, buy, right? You said buy it, because we writers really appreciate that. There's nothing like going to a book club and they're like, all 12 of us read your one book. It's like, thank you. But that's how we get paid. Back in 2011, I wrote the book Working for Peanuts, the Project Linus story, because we were at that point, we were about almost 20 years old and the original story had been lost. And so it's like, let's just get it all together in one book. And then this past December, the 30th year anniversary of this book came out, which is a lot of fun. It's easy reading. School groups read it for assigned reading in the summertime when the teachers don't want them to stop learning. They will have them. And then it also, ultimately, it's like, we understand everybody doesn't want to make a blanket, but do what fits for you. Make something positive that will help others. Well, my husband, and I love the robotics team was here today, because my husband, who's a nerd of his own, he loves computers. we have a grandson named Jackson. He's involved in Jeffco schools, and he may be part of whoever's wife is doing these Lego classes because he goes to a STEM school and he loves building robots. He's 8 years old and he's building, not that big yet, like you just saw, but he'll be there. And Gary, my husband, we call him Opa, I'm Oma. We've been very frustrated because our little left-brained grandson does not want to learn how to read. So Opa decided he was going to write a book about Jackson, and it's about STEM kids. So all those little kids that just don't seem to fit inside the box because they have other talents and other personalities. And so this is the Jackson book. And so the Jackson book, of course, we have a granddaughter. And she's just like, well, what about my book? So now she does like to read, but she's also an artist. So we just kind of, again, tapping into people's individual talents and how to make a positive difference. This book is about how she uses her artwork to take a graying or dulling world and bring it back to positivity through color and creativity. And it's a sweet story. And then that led to most recently Dakota and the Runway of the Sky. So that is, I didn't realize it, but like a lot of people say AI is awful, it's the end of the world, it's going to be horrible. Well, for me, it's allowed me to start doing the children's books that I've always wanted to put out there because I can write, but I can't draw. That's not where my talent lies. And I've talked to artists over the years, please, would you make illustrations for me so I can write some kids' books? Everybody's been like, yeah, this is just not my thing, or it's going to take too long. Well, thank you, ChatGPT. They're generating images. You cannot have a children's book without images. So now my stories can come alive for other kids because thank goodness for ChatGPT. They're helping me out with the images. And now I can have my kids' books. And it's just like every day it's like, oh, I should write about this. So right now I've taken that trip to Antarctica that we didn't want to go on, we were never going to go to, and we're changing it into some teenagers. So now we're working on teenage books, the two teenage twins that go down and have the same experiences that I had, but as a teenager. So that's fun. So that's taking on something bold because I never thought I'd get my children's books out. Take advantage of opportunities that come your way. This community is such a caring community. There's just open up the Canyon Courier or just look anywhere and there's opportunities to probably spend volunteer hours here at CAE. I mean, there's so many great opportunities. I think part of it is our mature ages that we have here. This is not a little kid community for the most part. And a lot of people either have the time, the money, or the heart to help others. And so taking advantage of opportunities that come your way. They had mentioned that I was a firefighter in an EMT. That started because I received a flyer in the mail one day when I lived out in rural Elbert County, and they were looking for volunteers. I figured they were going to have us help wash the trucks or make some chili or I don't know. I'd always wanted to be a firefighter as a kid. And they'd take us as Girl Scouts and take us as school kids, and they'd always point out to us girls, and I'm like, I'm in. And they're like, you can't, you're a girl. Girls aren't allowed to be firefighters. Well, Rattlesnake proved them wrong, and I got to join the fire department, become an EMT, and it was for 13 years, it was such a rewarding experience. And had I not read that community flyer, it wouldn't have been an opportunity for me. This little girl, she was, I was involved with Hide in Plain Sight, and this was scholarship for high school kids that can't afford to have continuing education. In Parker, 20 years ago, her father met her mom. They were going through a bad divorce, killed the mom in the Parker McDonald's parking lot right in front of his sisters, and then went and killed himself. So these two girls, these sisters, went from, even though their family was dissolving a little bit through divorce, now they didn't have either of their parents anymore either, and they were shuttled through foster care systems. So because of that, Hide in Plain Sight was able to help her get a scholarship, go to Metro, and she's now getting her master's at Humboldt State. And she's going to go and help out with other children that are having difficulties through the judicial system and criminal law. So it's amazing. Now this This did not happen this year. Obviously, our lake melted. It was not stable enough on the January 1st when we usually have people jumping into Evergreen Lake. I was down in South America when they finally did the lake plunge, which, it's a fun event. So if you have ever thought, if you've got on your bucket list and want to jump in freezing water, if you don't do it in Antarctica, because they let you do that off the back of the ships, you can do it in our own Evergreen Lake, and come on out. And that money that's raised is helping with Inspire, which is through EPRD. They're helping people in our community that need extra assistance, whether it's after-school basketball programs while the parents are still working and the schools are out. Like Jeffco is out today, and so what do working parents do with their children? EPRD can help out with that also. Widen trails, do all kinds of amazing things. I'm sure Betsy could get up and talk forever, but that's what this fundraiser is, and they're doing wonderful things for the Evergreen Parks and Rec community. Mount Evans, one opportunity that happened was kind of came about roundabout. Our mother died 5 years ago, and Glenn came out from Virginia, and Mom came to our house in Evergreen, and she passed away peacefully with all the family around her. Mount Evans was wonderful for our family. We'd never been through that experience before with a hospice group that could really, really be helpful. They were wonderful. After that, I started getting involved with their 4th of July run, and also with Camp Comfort with the blankets. And just like, again, an amazing organization in the community that's doing wonderful things. So keep your eyes open. Yes, you are doing great stuff with Rotary, and maybe there's something outside of Rotary also that's going to catch your eye that you can have fun doing and make a positive difference. And then there's little Linus. Starting out. All right, so here again is my little brother. This is Gary, my husband, just in case you've seen him around the community. Me, and this is Glenn's kids. That's Charlie, Miriam, and his wife Lori. And then this is a dear friend of ours. When my mom was in a senior facility in Virginia, this guy Art Gordon, he was outstanding. He was like a host, and he and his wife would welcome new people to the community. He's now 97 years old, but during COVID, when the rest of us are like laying low and being quarantined, he bought a new car and put 12,000 miles on it, and drove out to see family and went all over. He's like, I'm 92 years old. I don't know how much longer I have. And he still has that zest for life. He's just like, I just need to live my life to the fullest. And he's just such a great example to me. And even at 97, he continues to just go, go, go. And it's just wonderful. And I love all the wonderful examples that we do have in our communities that can uplift us and remind us that we need to not only be bold and get going, but also you got to do it now. Don't wait until that perfect moment when you have the perfect amount of money in your bank account or it's the retirement time. Start something now, even if you're not retired and things don't seem absolutely perfect. We went on safari in 2022, and we stayed at this beautiful the Malia hotel, and it was empty because people hadn't started traveling yet. We had the most amazing experience having this 5-star hotel to ourselves. But we also got to meet the staff, and one of them was a doctor. And he talked about how many people will save the African safari for one of their bucket list items as one of the last things that they're going to do. And he'll have families come over where people are at death's door, literally, but they're like, I'm going to go on this safari. And he ends up babysitting them because, first of all, people don't realize that the Serengeti is like kind of the same altitude as Denver. And so they're coming from Miami or some sea level, and they have a lot of trouble. They already have health issues, and that's exacerbated by the altitude in Serengeti. So again, if you didn't think about Antarctica, go on an African safari if you can, because they're unbelievable. They're just so much fun. Obviously, I love animals. So there's 7 days in a week, and Sunday is not one of them. Do it now. If you've got something on your bucket list, start putting things into motion so that you can make them happen and happen sooner than later. All righty. Any questions?
Have you planted those flowers?
Yeah. No, I've lived in Colorado for over 30 years. I'm not planting until after May, maybe after Mother's Day. Yes, so this is not from this year. Yeah, so one of the questions people will have is how many blankets has Project Linus delivered? It's over 10 million now. And so these are by individuals, it's definitely not made every one of them. I made a lot of them, but not a great percentage of that. Schools, scout troops, churches, any organization. We have women that get together for wine and blanket making. I mean, it's just like any excuse to make blanket. You can have fun with it. So yeah.
My question is, your mantra seems to be making a difference.
Yes.
And ours is service above self.
Yes.
And I was really inspired by what you did with Columbine, not give the kids a day off, but have them do community service. And with the United States having a high percentage of depression, how have you seen when young people do something for others, how it helps heal them, how it makes them feel better?
Absolutely. And that's not just young people. That works for us all across the age spans. When people are feeling sad for themselves or their country or their, whatever you want to fill in the blank with, being part of Rotary, if you go out and help others, you can't help but be positively affected by that. And I love that we can get students involved with this because it helps them understand they can make a difference. Because so many times it's like, well, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I'm just a kid. Again, excuses like we adults come up with every single day on why we aren't doing what we think we should probably be doing. And so it's really fun to see them get excited about it. And they come with such a giving heart and they are ready, willing, and able to help however they can. So it's lovely. And it's just a positive ripple effect. Because originally, I thought, okay, we'll make blankets for children. And that's it. But just hearing the stories that come from either the families that have received Project Linus blankets. I used to work at the Children's Hospital and just like we had a brand new hospital in Parker. And so all the latest, greatest colors and Children's Hospitals, but waste no expense on lots or spares no expense on, the latest, greatest fun things for kids. However, having a homemade, handmade, handcrafted, whatever you want to call it, blanket sitting for them on their bed when they were checking in, that just gives such a reassurance to the child. It helps be a bond between that child and their caregiver when the kids are afraid of that mean blood pressure cuff or being stuck by a needle, and they understand that the medical team is working with them and they're their partners. And it helps the parents also who are in great distress because who wants their child to be in a hospital? But to know that there are people in the community that are just kind of giving love and prayers and thoughts, good thoughts their way, it's super helpful. So thank you. Don't yell at me.
Huh?
Don't yell at me. Yeah, voice.
I'm not gonna yell. So those who were at Ryla last night, many of you know I've been a senior counselor for 13 years. But I had a junior counselor that very similar to what happened to that girl as far as parents and all this stuff and shooting and killing. And I'll never forget what he said that applies to your program is when you get up in the morning, you say, what have I got to do today? No, what do I get to do today?
Yes, great attitude. I love that.
Last one. Okay, working for peanuts. So are you funded or just as completely out of the goodness of your heart that you've been doing this for 30 years?
Great question. So Project Linus initially was funded by me and my ex-husband. And since you're the age that you are, the ex-husband was a musician. You might be familiar with Ginger Baker. Yeah, we lived in Parker, and I give him credit. He funded Project Linus for like those first 5 years. And then we got on Oprah. And then, we had hoped that we would receive the money so that we could get an office, we could get a full-time administrative staff. We do not receive regular funds from anybody. It's people hand us lots and lots and lots and lots of blankets. And occasionally people are able to get through the grant process system. But as you know, grant writing is not easy. And there's a lot of competition out there. So we don't have regular funds that come in. We're just kind of on a shoelace. And our national headquarters is now in the Kansas City area. And after Oprah, we decided we were going to close down our offices because, well, and which was our kitchen tables. We were working from our kitchen tables with a few of my friends that were volunteering. And with that, two of the volunteers stepped up and they said, what's it going to take to keep Project Linus going? We're like, fundraising. Because even if somebody hands you a blanket and you hand it to a child, you know, you have to register with the government to get nonprofit status. You have to, I mean, there's so much money. Phone calls aren't free. Back then it was 10 cents a minute. Just everything costs money. So yeah, fundraising has always been a challenge for us because we're more the hands-on doer people and not the clever fundraising people. So we're always looking for fundraisers.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Stay here for a second.
Okay.
Rotary is working to eradicate polio from the world. So as a thank you for your time this morning, we'll be donating 60 doses of polio vaccine in your name. So thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. And our mother had polio. So we're just kind of paying it forward. Thank you.
So, and she mentioned somebody that she spoke to. My son, when he was he was 9, was at Camp Comfort, got a Project Linus blanket, and it is now on his bed at University of Boulder. It goes everywhere with him, and its name is Comfort. So, with that said, go out, enjoy the day, and make it unite for good.
Thank you.